Admiral Krellick stood on the bridge of his massive warship and looked at the blue planet getting closer on his screen. Earth looked peaceful and quiet, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. Behind his ship, thousands of other warships followed in perfect formation. This was the biggest military fleet the Valthoran Empire had ever sent to conquer a world. The Admiral's second officer walked up to him with a report. "Sir, we have scanned the entire planet and the space around it. There are no military ships, no weapons in orbit, no defense systems anywhere. They have not even put weapons on their moon." Krellick felt very satisfied hearing this news. The Valthoran Empire had conquered 400 planets across the galaxy. Earth would be easy. His intelligence teams had told him that humans had only learned how to travel faster than light 50 years ago. They were like babies playing with tools they did not understand. "Open a communication channel to the planet," Krellick ordered. "Let these humans know that their masters have arrived." Deep below the surface on Earth, in a secret room under the White House, President Linda Hayes sat at a large table. Around her sat military generals and government officials. Everyone watched the screens as the alien message played again and again. The alien leader's words came through the translation computer. "People of Earth, you have been judged. You are weak and you will surrender. Give us your planet in one day or we will destroy everything. Fighting us is impossible. We are the Valthoran Empire. We have never lost a battle." General Frank Murphy was the head of all Earth's military forces. He leaned back in his chair with a strange look on his face. It was not fear. The younger people in the room could not understand what his expression meant. "Madam President," Frank said quietly, "I request permission to activate the Cairo protocols." Linda looked at him carefully. Both of them knew what this meant. For 30 years, Earth had kept a huge secret. The whole galaxy thought Earth was weak and defenseless, but that was exactly what Earth wanted everyone to think. "How much time do we have?" Linda asked. "They want an answer in 18 hours. "They will probably attack in 24 hours, Frank replied. Linda took a deep breath and made her decision. "Activate the protocols, General. Activate everything." All around Earth's orbit, on the Moon, on Mars, and in hidden bases throughout the solar system, machines that had been sleeping for decades began to wake up. In command centers that did not officially exist, military people who had trained their whole lives for this moment received their orders. The secret was about to be revealed. Commander Jake Peterson sat in the pilot seat of his fighter ship called the Griffin. His ship was not listed in any official records. It was built with technology that would seem like magic to most people. Around him in space, other pilots in his squadron turned on their ships. "All units are ready," Lieutenant Claire Morrison called from her fighter. "We have been waiting for this day for a long time." "I hope we are ready," Jake said quietly. "Because if we fail, there will not be a second chance." In orbit above Earth, the Valthoran fleet began to move into attack positions. Their ships were so many that they blocked out the stars. The aliens had no idea that Earth had been preparing for their arrival for 30 years. They had no idea that Earth's weakness was a trap. They had no idea that they were already defeated. On the Valthoran flagship, Admiral Krellick watched the timer counting down. The humans had not sent any message back. No begging for mercy. No offers to surrender. Maybe they were just too scared to respond. "Sir," one of his officers called out, "I am detecting strange energy readings. They are coming from many locations around the planet." "Explain what you mean," Krellick demanded. "I do not understand what I am seeing. These readings do not match any weapons we know about. They are appearing near the asteroid belt, near the moon, and in many places around the planet." Krellick felt worried for the first time. "How many of these readings are there?" The officer's face turned pale with fear. "Hundreds. No, wait, thousands. More keep appearing." Before Krellick could give any orders, his screen changed. A human woman in a military uniform appeared. Her face was calm, but her eyes were cold. "I am General Amy Carter of the United Earth Defense Force," she said. "You were given a warning. You should have listened to it." "Your threats mean nothing," Krellick said angrily. "You have no fleet. No defenses. You are weak and helpless." Amy's mouth curved into a small smile that was not friendly at all. "We have been studying the Valthoran Empire for a long time. We learned about your tactics, your technology, and your entire military history. Do you know what we discovered?" Krellick said nothing. "You only attack species that are weaker than you. You have become very good at defeating helpless planets, but you have never fought against someone who fights back with real skill. Today that changes forever." The transmission ended suddenly. "Sir, the energy readings are getting much stronger," the sensor officer shouted in panic. "They are weapons platforms. Thousands of them. They were hidden somehow. I do not know how we did not see them before." All around the Valthoran fleet, space itself seemed to shimmer and change. Weapons platforms that had been invisible suddenly appeared. They had been there the whole time, hiding, waiting. The trap was ready. Earth had seemed defenseless, but it was the most dangerous planet the Valthoran had ever approached. The aliens had come to conquer. Instead, they were about to learn the hardest lesson of their lives. Humanity did not fight like other species. Humans were patient. Humans planned carefully. And when humans fought, they fought to win completely. Admiral Krellick stared at his screens in growing horror. How had they missed this? How had Earth hidden so much military power? The answer was simple, but too late to help him. Earth had let the Valthoran see exactly what Earth wanted them to see. Nothing more, nothing less. The battle was about to begin. But in truth, the battle was already over. The Valthoran just did not know it yet. The Griffin fighter ship appeared from nowhere, materializing out of empty space less than 1 kilometer from the Valthoran flagship. Commander Jake Peterson's targeting computer locked onto the alien command ship's shield generators with perfect accuracy. Behind him, 30 other fighters from his squadron also appeared, all targeting the same weak points. "All units, you are free to fire," Jake commanded through the communication system. "Show them why humanity always wins." The Griffin's plasma cannons fired at exactly the same moment as every other ship in the squadron. Bright blue energy beams struck the flagship's shields. The shields glowed brighter and brighter, trying to absorb the attack. Then the shields collapsed completely. Explosions rippled across the huge alien ship's hull. But this was just the beginning. From the surface of the moon, massive railgun installations revealed themselves. These weapons had been disguised to look like simple research stations. Now they showed their true purpose. They fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds, fast enough to cross the distance to the Valthoran fleet in seconds. Each projectile hit with the force of a nuclear bomb. In the asteroid belt, weapons platforms that had been pretending to be mining equipment powered up. These platforms used gravitational technology to crush enemy ships. Around Earth itself, thousands of satellites that everyone thought were for communication activated directed energy weapons. Lasers and particle beams reached out across space. Captain Lisa Hayes commanded a warship called the Retribution. Her ship had been hiding in the shadow of Earth's moon, invisible to enemy sensors. The Retribution was 3 times larger than the biggest Valthoran warship. It had been built using technology that Earth had secretly collected from 5 different alien species over the past 30 years. "Target their carrier groups," Lisa ordered her crew. "Fire the main weapon." The Retribution's main cannon was unlike anything the Valthoran had ever seen. It created a focused gravitational beam that could tear apart the strongest materials. The beam lanced out across space. Where it touched the Valthoran formation, ships crumpled like paper. Their hulls could not withstand the impossible forces crushing them. Admiral Krellick watched in complete horror as his fleet began to die. Entire squadrons of ships vanished in bursts of white light. The human weapons were nothing like anything in the Valthoran military database. They operated on scientific principles his people had never discovered. "Return fire," Krellick screamed. "All ships return fire immediately." The Valthoran Armada finally responded. Thousands of plasma cannons and missile batteries fired at once. The space between the 2 fleets filled with deadly energy and explosives. It looked like the humans would surely be overwhelmed by this much firepower. But the human defenses were ready for everything. Point defense grids tracked every incoming projectile with computer precision. Thousands of small automated cannons shot down missiles before they could reach their targets. Energy shields that should not exist according to known physics absorbed the plasma fire. The shields glowed but did not break. Countermeasure systems created false images on enemy sensors, making the Valthoran shoot at targets that were not really there. And through all of this chaos, the human fighters moved through the Valthoran formation like sharks hunting fish. Each kill was quick and efficient. The pilots had trained for years for this exact battle. Lieutenant Claire Morrison's fighter swooped beneath a Valthoran destroyer. Her weapons carved through the ship's engine section like a knife through butter. The massive alien ship began to spin out of control, completely dead in space. "These shields are not even impressive," Claire said over the squadron communication channel. "Did they really conquer 400 worlds with this weak technology?" Apparently they only pick easy targets, Jake replied as he destroyed another enemy cruiser. They picked the wrong planet today. The battle that Admiral Krelix had expected to be a simple massacre was rapidly becoming exactly that. But the Valthoran were the ones being massacred. 17 minutes into the battle, over 3,000 Valthoran ships had been destroyed. The aliens were dying so fast that Krelix could barely process the damage reports flooding his command center. Retreat, Krelix finally roared. All ships jump to faster than light speed. Go to Rally Point Delta. But the humans had planned for this too. Around the Valthoran fleet, space itself began to change and distort. Special fields that humans had developed made faster than light travel impossible within a huge area. The technology worked on principles that the Valthoran could not understand or detect until it was too late. Jump drives are not working, the helm officer reported in panic. Something is blocking subspace. We cannot jump away. Then move us away at normal speed, Krelix ordered desperately. Full retreat at maximum sublight speed. The surviving Valthoran ships turned to flee. But they were like animals being herded by hunters. Human forces had positioned themselves perfectly around the battlefield. Every escape route led into zones where multiple human weapons could target the fleeing ships. The aliens ran straight into traps no matter which direction they chose. General Amy Carter watched from the command center built deep under the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. The holographic display showed the entire battle in real time. Each Valthoran ship was shown as a red dot on the display. Those red dots kept disappearing as ships were destroyed. They are trying to break through Sector 7, Colonel Paul Sanders reported. Let them try, Amy said calmly. The Aegis defensive line is waiting there. The Aegis line consisted of 30 of Earth's newest and most powerful heavy cruisers. Each ship mounted weapons that had cost billions of dollars to develop. As the fleeing Valthoran ships entered range, the cruisers opened fire with quantum disruption torpedoes. These torpedoes did not explode like normal weapons. Instead, they created small areas where the laws of physics became unstable. Matter fell apart. Energy scattered randomly. Valthoran ships touched by these weapons simply disintegrated at the molecular level. They did not explode. They just stopped existing. Captain Lisa Hayes watched from the Retribution as the enemy fleet fell apart. Her ship had taken some minor damage from a lucky Valthoran hit, but nothing her crew could not repair easily. Captain, her tactical officer said, we are receiving a transmission from the Valthoran flagship. They are requesting terms of surrender. Lisa felt no happiness at this news, only a cold sense of duty. Put them on my screen, Admiral Krelix appeared. His armor was cracked. Green blood leaked from a wound on his head. Behind him, the flagship's bridge was dark and filled with smoke. Enough, he said weakly. We surrender. Stop firing. Please, just stop. I do not take orders from you, Lisa said flatly. But I will pass your request to my commanders. Maybe they will show you mercy. She ended the transmission and opened a channel to General Carter. The question now was what Earth would do with its defeated enemies. In the White House Situation Room, President Linda Hayes faced the most important decision of her life. The battle was over. Earth had won completely. Now she had to decide what message to send to the rest of the galaxy. Should Earth show mercy or should Earth show strength? I need everyone's opinion, Linda said to the people gathered around the table. General Frank Murphy spoke first. If we destroy all their ships and let no one survive, we send a clear message to the galaxy. That message is do not come to Earth with hostile intent, but it also makes us look like monsters who kill prisoners. Secretary of Defense Helen Brooks disagreed strongly. If we show mercy and let them go, we look weak. Every other empire out there will think they can try to attack us too. They will think Earth got lucky this one time. What does our intelligence say about how the Valthoran Empire works? Linda asked. Director Marcus Webb pulled up information on his tablet. The Valthoran have a very strict hierarchy. Everything flows from the top down. The defeat of this armada will cause massive political problems in their empire. If we let survivors return home, they will tell everyone what happened here. That story might be more effective than destroying everyone and leaving the galaxy to wonder what happened. Linda thought carefully about all the options. Finally, she made her decision. Contact the Valthoran flagship. Tell them we accept their surrender. All their ships must power down their weapons immediately and submit to our forces boarding them. Any ship that does not comply will be destroyed without warning. We will take prisoners, document everything, and eventually send them home with a message. What message should we send? General Murphy asked. That Earth is protected and ready to defend itself. That we did not start this fight, but we will finish any fight that comes to us. And that any species that approaches us with peace will be welcomed as friends. But any species that comes with threats will face the same fate as the Valthoran. 3 days after the battle ended, Commander Jake Peterson walked through the detention facility that had been quickly built in orbit around the moon. Thousands of Valthoran prisoners were being held here. They were being processed, identified, and prepared to eventually go home. Jake stopped in front of a cell holding a young Valthoran officer. The alien looked barely old enough to be in the military by their species standards. Why? The young alien asked in broken English. We saw your world before we came here. You looked weak. You had no defenses we could see. How did you hide all of this? Jake thought about how to answer. We were not undefended. We were patient. We were waiting. And we learned from every species that ever visited our planet. But our intelligence studied you for months. Your technology level is decades behind ours in most areas. The technology you could see, Jake corrected. Did you really think a species smart enough to develop faster than light travel in just 2 generations would not be smart enough to hide what we were really capable of doing? The truth was actually more complicated than Jake was telling the prisoner. 30 years ago, an alien probe had crashed in the Australian desert. Inside that probe, humanity had found a database. It contained detailed information about the galactic community. Who was out there? What they wanted. How they fought wars. What technologies they used. And humanity had done what humans do best. They learned everything they could. They adapted ideas from dozens of different civilizations. They took technology from one species and combined it with concepts from another species. Then they improved on everything and made it better. And they did all of this in complete secrecy. Every weapon platform in Earth's defense network had been built from the ground up. The fighter ships, the cruisers, the railguns, the gravitational weapons, all of it had been constructed in hidden facilities. The work was funded by secret budgets that few people knew about. Even most government officials did not know the full extent of what had been built. Earth's leaders had understood a basic truth about the galaxy. In a universe full of predators, the best defense was to look weak while actually being strong. Let the predators think you are easy prey. Then when they attack, destroy them so completely that everyone else learns the lesson. Captain Lisa Hayes gave her final report to General Amy Carter in a secure video conference. Our final count of Valthoran losses is 8,417 ships completely destroyed. 3,209 ships were captured intact. Approximately 400 ships managed to escape beyond our interdiction field before we could stop them. Amy nodded as she reviewed the numbers. What about our losses? We lost 37 fighters. 12 orbital weapons platforms were destroyed. 3 frigates took heavy damage and are being scrapped. Total casualties are 214 personnel killed and 643 wounded. The difference between the two sides was almost embarrassing. An entire empire's greatest military force had been destroyed. Earth's losses were so small they barely mattered in comparison. The escaped ships are actually the most important part, Amy said thoughtfully. They will spread the word across the galaxy. They will tell every empire, every government, every warlord what happened here at Earth. Will it be enough? Lisa asked. Or will other species come here thinking they can succeed where the Valthoran failed? Some will definitely come, but they will come carefully. They will send diplomats and ambassadors before they send warships. They will try to talk first. And that gives us what we need most. What is that? Lisa asked. Time. Time to continue building our defenses. Time to develop even better technology. Time to establish ourselves as a major power that cannot be ignored or threatened. Time to make real alliances with peaceful species. President Linda Hayes appeared on every television, computer, and phone screen across Earth. She stood in the Oval Office, speaking directly to billions of people. My fellow citizens of Earth, she began. By now you have all heard what happened. You have seen the videos. You know that we were attacked by an alien empire, and that we successfully defended our world. What you do not know is the complete truth about how we did it. Linda explained everything. She told the world about the Cairo protocols. She described the secret construction projects that had been happening for 3 decades. She revealed the black budget programs that had cost trillions of dollars. She explained the decision to hide Earth's true military capabilities, while building the most advanced defense network in known space. I know many of you will feel betrayed that this was kept secret from you, Linda continued, "But I ask you to understand why we had to do it this way. If the galaxy had known what we were building, we would have been attacked and destroyed before we could finish. Secrecy was our shield just as much as any weapon or ship. Now that secret has been revealed. The galaxy knows that Earth is protected, but more importantly, they know that we are not aggressors looking to conquer others. We did not fire a single shot until we were fired upon first. Every alien life that was taken only in defense of our home and our people. Going forward, we will engage with the galactic community as equals. We will trade with them. We will learn from them. We will share our own knowledge. But we will never again be seen as weak or as victims or as prey." The speech resonated with people all across Earth. Yes, there was anger about the deception and the secrecy, but there was also tremendous pride. Humanity had faced its first real test on the galactic stage, and humanity had passed that test perfectly. 6 months had passed since the battle. A Valthoran diplomatic vessel approached Earth, broadcasting peaceful intentions on every communication channel it had. This time the aliens were not greeted with weapons. Instead, a proper diplomatic escort of human ships met them and guided them safely to the new orbital station that served as Earth's gateway to the stars. Ambassador Lisa Chen met the Valthoran delegation in a large meeting room on the station. The lead diplomat was an elderly Valthoran named Trelax. He approached Lisa with obvious nervousness, his body language showing fear and respect. "We come seeking peace," Trelax said through a translation device. "The Valthoran High Council sends its deepest apologies for what happened 6 months ago." "An apology is a good start," Lisa said calmly. "But Earth will need more than just words. We need actions and commitments." What followed was 3 weeks of intense negotiations. Both sides talked for hours every day. The Valthoran Empire agreed to pay reparations to cover Earth's costs from the battle. They agreed to share their technological knowledge freely. Most importantly, they agreed to sponsor Earth's entry into the Galactic Council as a full member with voting rights. News of Earth's victory had spread across known space, faster than anyone expected. The story grew as it was told and retold. A young species that seemed weak and primitive had destroyed the mightiest military force ever assembled. Different species reacted in different ways. Some saw it as a warning to leave Earth alone. Others saw it as an opportunity. Trade missions arrived at Earth from a dozen different civilizations. They wanted to buy human products and sell their own goods. Cultural exchange programs were proposed. Scientists from different worlds wanted to share knowledge and work together on research projects. Humanity found itself suddenly welcomed into galactic society, not as beggars or victims, but as equals and partners. Commander Jake Peterson retired from active military duty. He took a position training the next generation of Earth's fighter pilots. On a cool morning at the training facility in Nevada, he stood before the newest class of cadets. They were young men and women eager to serve and protect their world. "What happened 6 months ago will not happen again in the same way," Jake told them honestly. "The galaxy knows now what we can do. They know our capabilities, but that means we cannot rely on surprise anymore. The element of surprise is gone. The next threat that comes will be prepared for what we showed last time. So we have to be better than we were, faster, smarter, more creative." A young female cadet raised her hand. "Sir, do you think the Valthoran will come back? Will they try to get revenge?" Jake shook his head. "The Valthoran Empire collapsed after their defeat here. They are having a civil war now. 3 different groups are fighting over the remains of their empire. But they are not the only threat out there in the galaxy. There are dozens of other empires, hundreds of different species. Some will want to be our friends. Some will want to test us to see if we are really as strong as the stories say. Some will want revenge for what we did to the Valthoran. So we just keep training," another cadet said. "We keep training," Jake agreed. "We keep building better ships and better weapons. We keep learning, because the galaxy is a dangerous place. It always has been. It always will be. And Earth needs defenders who are ready for anything." In the years that followed the battle, historians and military experts studied what happened. They analyzed every decision and every action. Some called it humanity's introduction to galactic politics. Others called it the moment Earth proved it belonged among the advanced civilizations. Military schools across the galaxy studied it as a perfect example of defensive strategy, patience, and preparation. But for the people who had actually lived through the battle, the meaning was simpler and clearer. Humanity had been tested by fire. They had not been found weak or wanting. They had taken every disadvantage and turned it into an advantage. They had taken every vulnerability and made it into a strength. They had been patient when it would have been easier to be aggressive. They had been prepared when others assumed they were helpless. The Valthoran Empire had sent its strongest armada to conquer Earth. Instead, they had taught the entire galaxy the most important lesson about humanity. Do not underestimate humans. Do not assume they are weak. Do not threaten their home, because humans do not forget threats, and humans do not lose wars they choose to fight. 5 years after the battle, Earth had become a major player in galactic politics. Not through conquest or threats or intimidation, but through innovation, smart diplomacy, and the quiet confidence of a species that knew it could defend itself against anything the universe might send against it. Human scientists worked with alien researchers to solve problems that neither could solve alone. Human diplomats negotiated treaties and trade agreements that benefited everyone involved. Human artists and musicians shared their culture while learning about other cultures. Human teachers and students traveled to other worlds to learn and to teach. But behind all of this peaceful interaction, Earth's military continued to train and prepare. New ships were built incorporating lessons learned from the battle. New weapons were developed. New defensive systems were tested. Because everyone understood that peace only lasted when you were strong enough to defend it. The orbital defense platforms were upgraded and expanded. The fighter squadrons trained constantly. The heavy cruisers patrolled the outer solar system. Earth had revealed its strength once, and now everyone knew humanity was strong. But that did not mean humanity could relax or lower its guard. General Amy Carter, now retired, gave a speech at the 5-year anniversary ceremony of the battle. Thousands of people attended in person and billions watched on screens across Earth and across the galaxy. 5 years ago, we faced our greatest test, Amy said. We were threatened with destruction. We were told to surrender or die. But we chose a third option. We chose to fight. We chose to win. And we did win, not through luck or accident, but through decades of preparation and planning. Today, we live in a different galaxy than we did 5 years ago. We are not alone and isolated. We are part of a larger community. We have friends and allies. We have trade partners and cultural exchanges. We have peace. But we must never forget the price of that peace. We must never forget that strength and preparedness made that peace possible. We must never become complacent or assume that threats will not come again. So we honor those who died defending Earth. We remember their sacrifice, and we commit ourselves to ensuring that their sacrifice was not in vain. We will remain strong. We will remain vigilant. We will remain ready. The crowd stood and applauded for several minutes. The message was clear and everyone understood it. Earth had earned its place in the galaxy through strength, and Earth would keep that place through continued strength. The battle had lasted less than 1 day, but its effects would echo across the galaxy for generations to come, because on that day humanity had sent a message that every civilization in known space heard loud and clear. Earth was not prey. Earth was not a victim. Earth was a power to be respected and, if necessary, feared. 10 years after the battle, Earth had transformed completely. The orbital space around the planet was busy with activity. Ships from dozens of different civilizations came and went constantly. Some brought goods to trade. Some brought tourists wanting to see the legendary planet that had defeated the Valthoran. Some brought diplomats and scientists and students. The Solar Defense Academy had become one of the most respected military training institutions in the galaxy. Young people from other civilizations applied to study there, wanting to learn from the humans who had achieved the impossible. Not all were accepted, but those who were found the training intense and demanding. Captain Jake Peterson, now promoted and in charge of the entire fighter training program, watched a mixed group of human and alien cadets running flight simulations. A young pilot from the Kree species was struggling with a difficult scenario. "You are thinking too much," Jake told the cadet. "Trust your instincts, react, do not analyze every option. In real combat, thinking too long gets you killed." The Kree cadet tried again. This time his movements were smoother, faster. He completed the simulation successfully. "Better," Jake said. "Remember, every species fights differently. Humans rely on instinct and adaptability. Your people rely on logical analysis. Learn to combine both approaches. Take the best from every style." This was the new reality. Humans teaching aliens, aliens teaching humans. Everyone learning from everyone else. The galaxy had become more connected and more cooperative than ever before, and much of that change had started with Earth's victory. President Linda Hayes had served 2 terms and retired. The new president, Gregory Palmer, continued her policies of cautious engagement with the galaxy. Earth was open for business and friendship, but never lowered its defenses. In a speech to the Galactic Council, President Palmer made Earth's position clear. "We came to the stars not seeking conquest or domination. We came seeking knowledge and friendship. We came hoping to find others who value peace and cooperation, and we have found many such civilizations. But we also learned that the galaxy contains those who see kindness as weakness, who see peace as an invitation to attack. So while we extend our hand in friendship, our other hand remains ready to defend ourselves and our allies. Earth will never start a war, but Earth will always finish any war started against us." The speech was well received by most species. The peaceful civilizations appreciated Earth's commitment to both peace and strength. The aggressive empires took note and kept their distance. The Valthoran situation had finally stabilized. After years of civil war, a new government had emerged. This government was different from the old empire. It was more democratic, less aggressive. The new Valthoran leader, a female named Srelaya, visited Earth personally to meet with President Palmer. "We are not the same people who attacked you," Srelaya said during a private meeting. "That empire died in the fire of its own ambition. We are building something better now, something based on cooperation rather than conquest." "I am glad to hear it," Gregory replied. "Earth bears no ill will toward the Valthoran people. We only fought because we had to defend ourselves." "I understand that now," Srelaya said, "and I hope that someday our 2 peoples can be true friends rather than just former enemies." "I think that day will come," Gregory said with a genuine smile. "But it will take time. Trust must be earned, not demanded." General Amy Carter had written a book about the battle and the events leading up to it. The book became a bestseller across the galaxy, translated into hundreds of languages. In it, she explained the philosophy behind Earth's defensive strategy. "We knew we could not match the great empires in fleet size," she wrote. "We were one planet against civilizations that controlled hundreds of worlds, so we had to be smarter. We had to think differently. We had to use our strengths and hide them until the perfect moment. The key was patience. We spent 30 years building our defenses in secret. 30 years of sacrifice and hard work. Many people were involved in the project who never saw the final result. They built parts of ships without knowing what those parts were for. They developed weapons without knowing when they would be used. They trusted their leaders to make the right decisions. And when the moment came, all of that preparation paid off. We were ready. We had planned for every possibility. We had trained for every scenario. And we executed our plan perfectly." The book ended with a warning and a message of hope. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders, but it is also full of dangers. Every civilization must decide what kind of people they want to be. Will they be conquerors or cooperators? Will they take or will they trade? Will they destroy or will they build? Earth chose to build. We chose to defend rather than attack. We chose to wait rather than rush. And those choices defined who we are as a species. Commander Lisa Hayes, now an admiral in charge of Earth's Second Fleet, patrolled the outer reaches of the solar system. Her flagship, the new Retribution 2, was twice the size of the original and mounted weapons that made the first battle look like a small skirmish. "Any contacts on sensors?" she asked her tactical officer. "Negative, Admiral. Space is clear for 50 million kilometers in all directions." Lisa nodded. "Good, but stay alert. The day we stop being vigilant is the day someone will try something." She walked to the observation window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there were friends and allies. Somewhere out there were also potential enemies watching and waiting. The galaxy was like a forest, beautiful but dangerous. 20 years after the battle, a new threat emerged. The Krex Dominion, a powerful empire from beyond the galactic rim, began expanding aggressively. They conquered 3 civilizations in quick succession. Fear spread through the galaxy. Who would be next? The Galactic Council met in emergency session. Earth's representative, Ambassador Kevin Rogers, listened as species after species spoke of their fear and uncertainty. "We need to act together," Kevin said when it was his turn to speak. "Alone, many of us are vulnerable to the Krex, but together we are strong. Earth proposes a mutual defense treaty. Any attack on one of us is an attack on all of us." The proposal was debated for weeks. Finally, it was approved by a majority of the Council. The Galactic Defense Alliance was born. Earth contributed ships and technology. Other species contributed resources and personnel. For the first time, the galaxy had a unified military force dedicated to protecting all member civilizations. The Krex Dominion heard about this alliance and paused their expansion. They sent scouts to observe and assess. Those scouts reported back that this alliance was serious and well-armed. The Krex decided to seek diplomatic contact rather than military confrontation. The crisis was resolved without a shot being fired. The lesson was clear. Strength and unity could prevent wars better than anything else. Commander Jake Peterson, now retired for the second time and quite elderly, gave one final lecture to the military academy. He was helped onto the stage by a young officer. The auditorium was packed with cadets who wanted to hear from the legendary pilot. "I'm old now," Jake said with a smile. "I cannot fly anymore. My reflexes are too slow. My eyes are too weak. But I can still teach. I can still share what I learned. The most important lesson I can give you is this. Strength without wisdom is just violence. Wisdom without strength is just philosophy. You need both. Be strong enough to protect what matters. Be wise enough to know when fighting is necessary and when it is not. Earth won the battle 20 years ago not just because we had good weapons. We won because we thought carefully. We planned. We waited for the right moment. We used our enemies' assumptions against them. As you go forward in your careers, remember that. Do not just train your bodies and your reflexes. Train your minds. Study history. Learn from mistakes, both yours and others. Think about strategy and philosophy. Be warriors, yes, but be thinking warriors." The cadets gave him a standing ovation that lasted 5 minutes. When Jake finally left the stage, tears were running down his face. His life's work was complete. He had helped save Earth and had trained the next generation to continue that mission. The galaxy continued to change and evolve. New civilizations were discovered. New technologies were developed. New challenges arose. But through it all, Earth remained strong and vigilant and wise. The lesson of that first battle had never been forgotten. Preparation, patience, and the will to fight when fighting became necessary. The Valthoran Empire had sent its strongest, Armada, to conquer Earth. They had expected an easy victory. Instead, they had learned the hardest lesson possible. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with, and that lesson had changed the galaxy forever.